In Manchester City's preseason campaign, Pep Guardiola unveiled a fresh tactical setup as his side faced off against Celtic, AC Milan, Chelsea and Barcelona. This new approach showcased Guardiola's relentless pursuit of innovation, with the team adapting to different formations in each game, offering a glimpse into what could be expected in the upcoming season. As always, Manchester City balanced their trademark possession football with dynamic positional play. Here's how you can successfully recreate Pep Guardiola's preseason Manchester City tactics in FC24. Coming into the preseason, Pep Guardiola has deployed his team in a 4-2-1-3 system or a 4-2-3-1, depending on how you really view it. And this means that a double pivot has been implemented, the likes of Kovacic and O'Reilly at the base of that midfield, helping with builder play in that first phase of building their attacks, whilst also allowing for the likes of Rico Lewis to invert into the midfield zones. And that means that they would take up a 3-2-4-1 system, more or less a similar system to what Pep Guardiola has used over the last 2 or 3 seasons at Manchester City, in order to try and get the best out of the attacking outlet from the side. For the tactical approach for the Manchester City team, the tactical vision should be set to wing play. Now, this will mean that the likes of a Jack Grealish and Oscar Bob will be high and wide at all times, looking to try and stretch the play, opening up space, generating those gaps in between the lines for your midfielders and even the likes of Erling Haaland to work into and try and exploit, whilst also having some good combination play at times, especially when deployed with the back four system. They can look to interchange with the fullbacks and the wingers, looking to try and stretch the play, firing crosses, and of course cutback situations for the attackers in the box. Now, as you'll see here for the defense and the defensive style, I have set this to press after possession loss, as Manchester City, regardless of who's on the field, will always look to apply that counter-pressing system and measure in order to try and win the ball back higher up the field and transition into those attacking opportunities or creative attacking chances. Now, as for the team's width, I have set this to 60 in order to try and generate that good man-v-man type system, but also because of the aggressive pressing nature, you do need to try and match up with a bit more width to your defensive structure, meaning that you might be able to cover a lot more of the pitch when you are trying to defend and press, and maybe try and intercept a few extra passing lanes and angles. The depth of the side should be set to 80. Now, this can vary, and it has varied. Against Barcelona, it was slightly lower. Against the likes of Chelsea, after they had scored their 2 goals in the span of a minute, they got more aggressive, they got higher up the field, and it did allow for a bit more confidence to arise, essentially, and that meant that the backline pressed higher up the field, meaning that the press was more aggressive, more intense, and that meant that the opposition were under a lot more stress. So more or less, I have set this to 80, but again, it can vary. For the offensive approach for this Manchester City side, and I will say nothing has really changed from the offensive approach that I implemented in last season's tactics videos. Slow build-up and possession football. They'll look to build up from the back. They'll have the centre-backs very involved. The 2 DMs, as well as the fullbacks at times, will also look to drop into the space, show for the ball, provide extra passing options in that first phase, and successfully allow the side to build that offensive platform for the other attackers to build up off of. Of course, with the side, they are very intense on keeping the ball, maintaining it, retaining it, circulating the play, making sure that they are looking to try and pull the opposition out of their more natural defensive shape. And once that shape is broken, I guess, you'll have that space for the likes of an Erling Haaland, a McAtee, or one of the wider players to maybe try and drive into that open area and try and exploit the opposition with potentially scoring a goal or 2. The width of the side should be set to 75, as this will allow for a good stretch to occur, whether it's the fullbacks or the wingers. In those wider areas, you are trying to generate that central space for your attackers. As for the players in the box, I have set this to 7, allowing for a good amount of players to be in and around that attacking zone. Of course, Erling Haaland, McAtee, one of your wingers, they'll also be in and around that space, but also you'll have around 2 to 3, maybe even 4 players at times on the edge of the area, looking to help provide that facilitating offensive approach that Pep Guardiola is always looking for on the edge of the area. Finally, the corners and the free kicks should be set to 4. Progressing on now to the individual player roles and instructions, starting off at the back with the goalkeeper. Now, of course, it could be Ortega, it could be Edison. They have alternated between the two in their preseason tour. And for the time being, I have set the likes of Ortega to come for crosses and be a sweeper keeper. Of course, with a Pep Guardiola system, with a high line implemented, you do need and require a keeper to be ready and off of his line to try and sweep up just in behind your back line if there is a potential through ball that might look to expose it. At the same time as well, the goalkeeper is very instrumental in trying to build that offensive play out from the back, looking to play those short passes into the midfield or into the defensive line, or even having the abilities to play those longer balls further forward, looking for a more direct attacking approach. The 2 centre-backs consisting of Gvardiol as well as Phillips will be set to the base role and instructions. You don't need to change too much about them. They'll obviously be very important in looking to try and establish that good offensive platform to build up off of, as well as Phillips has also been very good at being able to switch the play those longer balls out wide, whether it's switching it to a Jack Grealish or an Oscar Bob, or even further forward into the likes of an Erling Haaland, looking to try and display his passing range with the side. The two fullbacks will be set to the same roles and instructions, and as you'll see here for Rico Lewis, I have set him to a balanced approach for both the run type as well as the attacking runs, as we do tend to see both of the fullbacks getting forward at times, and whilst the one gets forward, the other one does tend to stay back. And as we have established in the past, if you do set this to balance, it does allow for that tandem to work very, very well, as well as both fullbacks have been allowed to either invert or overlap the wider players. So that's why I've also left this on mixed. But the most important thing is you want them stepping up. You want them being very aggressive, imposing towards the opposition fullbacks or attacking wide players in those wider channels. As you'll see here for the likes of Wilson Esbrand, he's got the same role and instructions as well. Now onto the midfield two of Kovacic as well as O'Reilly. Now for the role of Kovacic, this is more or less the Rodri role, and I must say he has fulfilled it quite well throughout the first 4 or 5 games of pre-season. So he'll be set to cut past lanes. He wants him trying to intercept the play, breaking up that central area as best as possible, whilst also maintaining a balanced attacking support role for the side, so he can get forward. And we have seen him quite a few times so far in pre-season on the edge of the opposition's box, either looking to rotate or facilitate the offense, or even popping off long-range efforts at the opposition's goal. We've also got the interception set to normal, and then finally, he will be the deep lying playmaker, as well as looking to try and cover those central zones, looking for him to drop into the half space, drop into that space between the two centre backs, collect the ball, be an extra passing option when looking to build out from the back. That will be his role going forward. His midfield partner in O'Reilly has been very impressive so far in their preseason. Very strong, very powerful runner with the ball, and that is why he is going to be deployed as a box-to-box player. He'll also look to cut past lanes, be very involved in helping the likes of Kovacic try to break up the opposition's build-up play in those midfield zones, but the attacking support will be set to get forward. He'll make those later runs further forward, and you'll also see a more or less 4-1-4-1 system generate, with the likes of O'Reilly joining up with McAtee higher up the field in those more attacking zones. The interception should be set to normal, and he will be set to stick to position and cover the wing. The attacking midfielder of McAtee will be set to maintaining a basic defensive support, as he can choose to, at times, drop quite deep, help support the likes of Kovacic and O'Reilly with those defensive duties, or he can choose to stay further up the field and be the linking chain between the deeper midfield and, of course, the attacking options further forward. The support on crosses will also be set to maintaining a balanced crossing run, as he can look to break into the box himself or help facilitate on the edge of the area. Finally, the positioning freedom should be set to free roam, as you do want him popping up in the half spaces, allowing him to function in those spaces that are generated through the fact that you will be trying to stretch the play on a horizontal plane, having him operate in the spaces that Erling Haaland is vacating with his aggressive runs further forward. And then finally, the interception should be set to aggressive. Into the wider channels now, and both the likes of Jack Grealish as well as Oscar Bob will be set to come back on defense. Now, not only does this allow you to double up in those wider areas trying to help defend with the fullbacks, but it can also allow them to have that deeper starting position when you are trying to build out your attacks from the back. Both of your wider players will be set to stay wide. Of course, you are trying to generate a decent amount of stretch on a horizontal plane, generating a lot of space centrally, and both Bob as well as Grealish have been very good at maintaining their positions on the wider touchline areas. So that's why stay wide should be appropriate. The target play approach for Jack Grealish will be essential, as he doesn't always look to break him behind. He can look to come short at times, but so far what I've seen from Grealish is he does like to back into the opposition player, hold up the play, and look to be a linking factor in that wider left space. So that's why I have set him to target player. Of course, like with most Pep Guardiola systems, you want them aggressively pressing, and just to add to that aggressive pressing nature, you want them to also be set to aggressive interceptions, helping them try to break up the opposition's build-up play from the back. And then, of course, finally, for both of your wingers as well, they'll both be set to balanced crossing runs. Onto the opposite flank, and the only real change that we do see with the likes of Oscar Bob is I have set him to a balanced support for the support runs. This will allow him to break him behind, come short, or even have the good target play approach where you can also look to hold up the play. But more so, you want to incorporate all of this because Bob does tend to be very dynamic with his attacking run patterns, but otherwise everything else is going to be set to the same. Up front now to the striker of Erling Haaland, and he'll be set to maintaining a central role. Now, of course, last season he was able to peel off the back line, make those runs into those slightly wider areas, and then make those runs back inside to the central zones. But for the preseason, at least, he has been very central. Very rarely do you see him drifting out wide or trying to operate slightly wider of those central zones. The attacking runs, I have set this to mixed and not just getting behind, as he has more or less established, he's downloaded, you could say, the next iOS update where he got some elite holder play. He's able to drop quite deep now, link up the play in those deeper areas if needed and required, and he can also look to make those runs in behind at times. So a mixed attacking run will allow him to do this very effectively, as well as maintain aggressive interceptions. Of course, Haaland is elite at being able to eat up ground, cover, enormous amounts of space with little to no time, closing down gaps, closing down areas, and making sure that it's very difficult for the opposition to be comfortable when they are trying to build their attacks from the back. And then finally, the defensive support is set to stay forward. The 3-2-4-1 system has been largely associated with Pep Guardiola and what he's been able to do. And coming into this preseason tour, he wanted to trial the likes of Rico Lewis in the midfield zone. Things changed. They didn't have the correct playing staff, and Rico Lewis was largely deployed as a right back. But of course, when they develop into this 3-2-4-1 system, Rico Lewis tucks into the midfield, operates at the base of the midfield alongside Kovacic, and it allows the likes of Man City to really get a full grasp of the game and really display their offensive dominance on the opposition. For the tactical approach, nothing has changed whatsoever. I would say if you would like to, you could maybe stretch the width of the side a little bit more, maybe up to 85, as well as the potential depth could be pushed up to around 90, implementing that very high line, that very aggressive pressing or counter-pressing nature for the side. But other than that, everything should be set to the same. Now onto the individual player roles and instructions for this 3-2-4-1 system and shape. Of course, there will be multiple players that have very similar instructions to what they had before. The goalkeeper as well as Gvardiol will be two of those players that have identical instructions. The likes of Calvin Phillips are deployed as that right-sided centre-back. He'll be set to conservative interceptions or be the cover centre-back in this back three system. And of course, he does have some good protection just in front of him in Kovacic and Lewis, who can also drop into those wider spaces if needed. Now, the likes of Wilson Esbrand is not a centre-back, but he has been deployed in this back three system, but he does also have the freedom at times to get forward and develop into those more attacking left-spaced zones. So you want him to be able to overlap when applicable and when the space is there for him to do so. But other than that, the rest of the instructions should be set to the base. As for your double pivot of Kovacic and Lewis, now before Kovacic or the Rodri role was set to being the deep lying playmaker, but this time he'll be allowed to attack a bit more and not really needed in that first phase of the build-up play. That was largely down to Rico Lewis being able to invert into the midfield and be that controller in those deeper areas. So for the likes of Kovacic, he'll be set to cut past lanes, still maintaining that balanced attacking support so he can get forward if the space is there and the opportunities do present themselves. But otherwise, stick to position and cover the wing. This time we have shifted him from cover the center to cover the wing, as you do want at least some type of coverage in those wider areas, especially if the likes of a Grealish as well as an Oscar Bob can't get back in time to try and cover those wider zones. As you'll see here, for the role of Rico Lewis, he'll be set to cut past lanes as well, but for the attacking support, he'll be set to stay back. Now, we have seen him at times venture further forward, but more so you want him quite deep. You want him being the deepest midfield player, looking to try and run the game from those deeper zones as best as possible. And of course, he will be the deep lying playmaker. The two attacking midfielders of McAtee and O'Reilly will have the same roles and instructions as the attacking midfielder in the 4-2-1-3 system, and that will be basic defensive support, a balanced crossing run, free roam, and of course, aggressive interceptions. Of course, in this situation, O'Reilly has been pushed up into those more attacking zones where he can look to really flourish as the natural attacking midfielder that he is, but he's also very good at being able to collect the ball in those deeper zones and make those driving runs further forward, looking to try and either create overloads or open up spaces for the wide players in Oscar Bob or even a Jack Grealish, depending on which side he's operating on. The two wider players of Oscar Bob as well as Jack Grealish will be set to the same role and instructions as they had before. Come back on defense for Bob, stay wide, as well as maintaining a support run of balanced and of course aggressive interceptions and balanced crossing runs. As you'll see for the likes of Jack Grealish, come back on defense, stay wide, target player, aggressive interceptions, and then balanced crossing runs. And the same can be said for the likes of Erling Haaland. He'll be set to stay central, mixed attack, aggressive interceptions, and then finally stay forward. And there we go, people. That is how I would successfully go ahead and implement Manchester City's Pep Guardiola preseason tactics into FC24 with the current Manchester City side. I do hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to smash the like button down below, as well as subscribe if you are new to the channel and you like what you see. And also, if you have a Discord, join up with the Brom Squad Gaming Discord server. That would be fantastic if you could join. We chat everything FC24, everything real life football. Of course, the new Premier League season is starting soon, next weekend, literally. Fantastic. And of course, we've been chatting about FC25 quite a bit on the Discord. So if you are interested, head over there. The link will be down below in the description. But now we are going to hop on into a game where we will discuss these tactics in further detail. Okay, people, Manchester City versus the mighty Celtic. Now, you might be thinking, why would you play against Celtic? Well, for your information, Celtic were the only team to beat City in pre-season. Yes, they drew with Barcelona. Yes, they drew with AC Milan. Yes, they beat Chelsea 4-2, but they lost to Celtic. Oscar Bob down the right-hand side here. He's been played in beautifully. Scales can't collect it. Of course, we know all about Scales, and if you don't, well, you're about to find out this weekend. Watch out for the Showcase Sunday. Great coverage from O'Reilly. Just drifting into that wider space, helping support the likes of Rico Lewis. Josko Vardiel comes across, gets the block in beautifully, and that will be not even a block. That was just a missed shot opportunity. Calvin Phillips plays it further forward into the likes of Kovacic, who does play a long ball. Jack Grealish is always on the touchline, ready and waiting. What can he produce? What can he provide? Scales just gets in the way there. Beautifully done from Scales. Although they'll look to counterattack yet again. They will look to counterattack yet again. Maeda this time. Maeda. He can't get past Rico Lewis. Rico Lewis plays it back to the goalkeeper. Building the attacks from the back is a key fundamental element to Pep Guardiola's style of play. Just looking to reestablish the platform. O'Reilly plays a great ball into Jack Grealish, who does look to cut inside. He's going to pull it back into... Oh, McAtee. McAtee's shot just gets blocked away, and I don't know if that's going to be a corner or a goal kick opportunity. It's going to be a goal kick. We are going to implement the attacking structure now of a 3-2-4-1. Just looking to ramp up the pressure versus Celtic. And if we are under the attack, or if we are under attack a lot, I will look to more or less implement the fullback system. Anyways, Maeda fouls Rico Lewis, and we can look to build out now with this 3-back formation. Good ball into O'Reilly, who lays it back into Oscar Bob, who plays it back into the likes of Erling Haaland. O'Reilly. Good ball over the top there. Beautifully done. And you're not going to stop Erling Haaland. 30 minutes gone by. We've literally just implemented this 3-2-4-1. And the two attacking midfielders working in tandem, combining beautifully and helping the likes of Haaland get into that space, feeding him the pass. And of course, he does the rest. He's an elite finisher when he's in front of the net. That's some great play. Honestly, that's some fantastic play. How many goals could we potentially go and score? Well, that'll be defined soon enough. Advantage there. Just having that extra bit of recovery pace in the backline zones is just so important at times. We are going to just roll it out into O'Reilly, who does hold up the play very well. We've had 3 shots. Wow, I didn't even realize that we've had 3. Okay. There we go. O'Reilly. Oscar Bob. Potentially, O'Reilly still got the ball, although he's lost it yet again. Rico Lewis looking just to break up the play, stop the quick transition moments, and we've seen that established tenfold. Okay. Calvin Phillips looking just to cover this wider right zone, and it is headed away by Vardiel. Some great combination play there between McAtee and Grealish. And I must say, McAtee has been one of the players to definitely impress in pre-season. I would say, obviously, apart from maybe Erling Haaland, McAtee has been City's best player, as far as I'm aware from what I've seen, at least. But yes, half-time, we have been quite good, especially with this 3-2-4-1 implemented. We scored the goal eventually, helping unlock this very tight defense that Celtic are looking to deploy. And as you can see here at the break, 56% possession in our favor. It probably needs to go up a bit more. And I definitely think that since we have implemented the more attacking structure, we have maintained the ball a bit better as well, having extra passing options higher up the field in those more attacking advanced zones. So a bit more of that in the second half, and I think that percentage will definitely go up. The shots have been 3-1 and expected goals of 1.1 to 0.2, and we've almost had around double their passes. We've also been very involved in laying down the law by implementing 10 tackles and winning 5 of them. Not too bad, not too shabby. We also need to improve on our pass accuracy, but other than that, it's not too bad whatsoever. A lot of it is in the central zones. I mean, it's very widespread, to be fair, and we have seen a good amount of ball possession in our own half, in our own box, looking to control the ball and then build those attacks from back to front. So it's not too bad. Maybe we can increase it in the attacking final third area, but otherwise, like, I really can't complain. And if you take a look at their heat maps, it's been largely down the right-hand side, or our right-hand side, their left-hand side, through the likes of, I think it's Maeda. He was attacking quite a bit, but otherwise it's been very good defensive actions from our backline areas and even in the midfield zones. Okay, they have won themselves a corner kick. Of course, they haven't really been able to do too much with their offensive chances. Good hold-up play. Lays it off perfectly into McAtee, who does have a free route straight towards the goal, although he might be caught up here. Although he's still driving. He's still driving. Where's the other offensive support? He's taking a shot on himself with his weaker foot, and it's gone just wide of the mark. I wish that was actually Erling Haaland, because if it was Haaland, we know he would have left the defense in the dust, and he probably would have gone on to score the goal. Anyways, it's still 1-0, and somehow, some way, the defensive line has been. Why is Ortega not going to collect the ball? I did everything there. Why did Ortega not get the ball? I don't get it. I don't get that. Like Rico Lewis, mate, you've done everything, and Ortega's just like, okay. Anyways, it's now 1-1. We've got it all to do in the last 15 or so minutes. That's just annoying though, because honestly, you rely on those functions. You've set him to sweep the keeper. You set him to aggressively come for crosses. What more can you do? Great ball into McAtee, who has exploited that half space area. He is in on goal, and he's popped it into the back of the net. Schmeichel, go pick that one out the back of the net, mate. McAtee attacking the half space perfectly. Of course, there was a bit of space for Haaland to run into himself, but we took the shot on with the attacking midfielder, and we got the ball into the correct place. Obviously, again, the attacking midfield is working really well in tandem and combining very effectively for a well-taken shot on goal. The goalkeeper's got to save that, surely. If that happens to me, I'm mad. Just going to revert into that full-back system, having the likes of Rico Lewis, go back to his more natural right-back position. And just have everybody calm things down a little bit here. Jack Grealish looking to get back and help out. Wilson Esbrand. Great save from Ortega. Goodness me. Great ball into O'Reilly. O'Reilly lays it back into McAtee. McAtee plays a lovely ball further forward into Jack Grealish, who will look to bring it infield now. And there we have it, a 2-1 win over Celtic. Of course, in real life, Celtic battered Man City. They were playing some fantastic football in that game. I do know it was the first game of their preseason tour, yes. But we get the win, a 2-1 victory over Schmeichel and the boys in green. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to smash the like button down below. Okay, so just taking a look at the full-time stats, 52% possession in our favor, yes, but Celtic definitely stepped up the efforts in the second half. They had 84 passes. That's a lot more than what I had anticipated them having, and we had 107, so we're still in our favor, but their expected goals rose from, I think it was 0.2 to 1.8 in the second half, and we had an expected goals of 1.6 the entire game. So a give and take situation, and I do think that with an increase in quality of the overall squad and players, of course putting Kevin De Bruyne back in, Foden, Doku, and so on, you will definitely be able to have a more fluid attacking style of play and system, and just a better feel to the overall game. But that is the Pep Guardiola preseason tactics. I do hope you have enjoyed what I've had to offer in this video. Please don't forget to smash the like button like I said, as well as subscribe if you are new. Anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video.